Lately, I've been trying to get up earlier and earlier. Today I'm getting up at 8:30 after a few alarms have already gone off. My Apple Watch taps me awake as well, and I am greeted with the new liquid glass buttons here, which I'm really a fan of. Also the new elongated clock, which looks sick. And per usual, I am greeted by my cats, who were already scratching and meowing and clawing at the door, acting as though I hadn't seen or fed them for at least 40 years.
I'm sick of everybody in this house. I'm sick of everybody.
Pretending to hate your cats is a very underrated and hilarious thing. Let me know if you do the same thing. Anyway, here's their morning wet food.
Who told you people you could just be in my house?
And after they're chowing down, I then attend to my morning routine, which first begins back in my bedroom. I'm really weird about making my bed right away. Otherwise, I don't want to do it at all. So better to just knock it right out. And once the bed is made, I then undo the blinds here and just do a little morning scroll where I can immediately appreciate the changes that come with iOS 26. First off, liquid glass is just really well done and mixes minimalism and realism, which I appreciate a lot. Also peep the search bar being at the bottom there with that big X button as well. UI is just a little more accessible and I guess usable, if that makes sense. The keyboard also got a visual update, which I enjoy as well, and it again ties in with the whole liquid glass redesign, which is now cross-platform with your iPad and your Mac, both of which I use a lot, and your watch as well, which is quite nice, which I'm about to leave to charge while I take a shower. And since I'm not in any major rush today, I want to have some tunes while I'm in the shower, so I bring my wireless speaker in there and get my playlist going. I'm sorry I use Spotify, I just like it better, I don't know why. And unfortunately, I don't listen to copyright-free pop music, that's just for this video, but I usually listen to some Lady Gaga or Charlie XCX or whatever else is stuck in my head. And if you didn't catch that, I'm receiving a phone call from an unknown number. Thankfully, I can't hear it because iOS 26 now has a more strict phone screening feature, meaning I don't have to hop out of the shower, only to find out that I'm getting a call from a scam number or something like that. Anyway, my watch is done charging, and it's time to get dressed. I used to wear different outfits, but I've recently just defaulted to a sort of uniform, Lululemon pants with a zipper and a Carhartt shirt with a front pocket, both very practical, utilitarian. And here's my little girl wondering where I've been at, even though I was just taking a shower for 10 minutes or so. And she wants some food. She practically begs for it every chance she can get. So I, of course, oblige and feed her some dry food. She has to check out both of these dispensers, of course, because that's the rule. And my son likes to fish little individual pieces of kibble out with his paw, which is the funniest thing. And now it's finally time for me to eat something, and just like with what I wear, I keep things very simple because I just do not have time or energy in the morning for anything spectacular here. So I first start with some turkey breast, which my cats have to get their nose into. I also am a big cereal guy. Let's go. I know that's super unique and quirky, but it's just quick and easy, and of course I gotta pay the turkey tax.
I'm sick of you. Oh, wow.
But anyway, yeah, this is just a really simple, just effortless meal in the morning that you can always add more protein to. I'm trying to do that to help manage my ADHD symptoms more, and also as sort of a habit to get into when I start going to the gym. And voila, again, a very quick and easy breakfast here. I then immediately deploy the ring stand on my phone case. And as you can see, despite the new visual changes, iOS 26 is buttery smooth. It got even smoother as the later betas came out, and they continue to optimize performance here. And of course, I have to get my morning doom scroll in here, TikTok being my favorite platform of choice. I also crack open a Coke Zero. This is my choice of caffeine because coffee messes up my day, if you get what I mean. Anyway, I also love applesauce. It's a pretty easy little source of fiber and just tastes great. I also love it because I don't have to cut an apple that would also probably go bad in my fridge after weeks of not touching it. Shout out to my ADHD people who will appreciate that. Anyway, I grab my AirPods Max and I then go back to the kitchen and turn on the kitchen lights with HomeKit. And it's time to make another quick and easy meal that I'll eat later for lunch. I also figure while my hands are full, I'll make a phone call that I've been putting off for a while to a totally legit company. And it's really great because they normally keep me on hold, which is why I procrastinated this call in the first place. But luckily, with the iOS 26 update, I remember that there is a new hold assist feature, meaning I can press the more button, click hold assist, and then it just holds my call and will call me back once a representative answers, meaning that I can just play some music while I continue to do this task at hand here, which is so much better than listening to hold music, although that Cisco stuff is pretty good, I can't lie. But the Buena Vista Social Club is much better, and that's unfortunately not what you're hearing because of copyright laws, but if you haven't listened to them before, you need to. They are some of the best Cuban musicians out there. Anyway, somebody is now calling me back here. I think a representative is ready to talk. I'm getting the notification on my watch as well, so I can immediately jump into the call on my AirPods Max without a hitch. I'm so glad Hold Assist could make this process so much less painful. Anyway, while I was on that call, I prepped all my sandwich making ingredients here, particularly ham, which my cats have to get into. It's the law. And yeah, this is the simple ham sandwich on a brioche bun situation that I'm always making myself because I hate cooking and I want it to be quick and easy. I also want these sandwiches to last in the fridge, so I only put mustard on there, not like mayo, which can spoil. And this time, the lunch meat begging is put to a stop. Enough is enough. I then put these sandwiches in identical little glass containers that I bought and cut them in half so they're easier to, again, put in here and take out with a little bit of a paper towel in there to absorb any moisture. This is a science, I'm telling you. I figured it out. All for convenience. I don't enjoy doing this, but, you know, a man's got to eat, a man's got to live. Anyway, I put the stuff away. 2 sandwiches go directly into the fridge. I clean up the mess that I made, you know, the dishes and the knife, and then 2 sandwiches go into the lunchbox that I'm going to bring to the office here in a minute. And speaking of leaving home, I go grab the 2 bags I bring with me everywhere, my business bag and my tote bag. I then shut my bedroom door and just make sure everything in my apartment is where it should be. And then, of course, I gotta say goodbye to the children. First up, my son, Oscar, and then my little girl, Lucy, who is usually in her little tree sanctuary there. I then initiate a leaving home mode in the Home app, which just turns on some lights and turns off most lights. So if I come home after it's dark, the apartment isn't pitch black. I then grab my little man purse, which I rock shamelessly. If I didn't have that, I would lose everything. Then I grab my business bag and my tote bag and my lunchbox, importantly, which fits in there, and I'm off and away. And as you can imagine, the iOS 26 experience extends into your car with CarPlay, which is something I use on a daily basis, so I'm very happy that it's gotten a bit of a facelift here. More specifically with the new liquid glass look, which changes the look of your icons, so I have them in the transparent mode here, which I really love, along with the newer UI elements or buttons that are a little more rounded and glassy. And speaking of UI elements, the incoming call one is so much more compact and it doesn't take over your entire screen, which I appreciate. So whether you're off to somewhere you know, like downtown Ann Arbor for me for work, or if you're driving somewhere new and you need to be paying attention to your map, the interface is not interrupted and you can just answer the call and continue along with your drive and navigation without much of a hitch. But anyway, I wrapped up my call with my buddy Freddie there, you may know him, and soon found myself at a suitable parking structure. Peep that lost ticket fee. I learned this the hard way, and that's why I immediately put it in my overhead visor. Horror stories, let me tell you. And luckily for me, I was able to find a spot that wasn't at the very tippity top of the structure, which is always nice. And with my car parked for a sort of grueling $165 an hour, could be worse, I guess, I then made my way to the elevator to get down to the sidewalk so I could walk to my office. I really enjoy the fact that I have to walk a bit and it's not just a simple park and go into my office building type deal. This walk also gives me a chance to listen to some tunes, and I just gotta say, I love this commute. It sounds silly, but I worked from home for years and I really lacked a natural transition or break in my day. So if you ever dread your commute, just know, as someone who's worked from home for most of his career, the grass is not necessarily greener, and having to, quote, go to work is a process I actually really enjoy. Anyway, here I am at work, locked in, literally putting my stuff down. As you can probably tell, my life is a huge routine, because if it's not, I literally forget stuff like putting sandwiches in the fridge before they go bad in my bag, which I've totally not done before. I also, as you can see, have this nice window view out of my office, especially at night when it's not blindingly bright. I get this great view of the stadium or big house, even though I could care less about football. Anyway, here's my MacBook Air, my business back-end regular busy work laptop or Mac of choice plugged into my ultra-wide desk setup, which is a place where I spend a lot of time answering emails and doing contracts and planning my work and, you know, all the boring stuff that doesn't involve content creation. It's a very specialized setup that I definitely look forward to showing off. But anyway, it's lunchtime and I gotta grab one of those sandwiches that I made earlier. Again, it's already made, no effort. And this is a whole process too. I eat a lot of applesauce, as you can tell, and I make the best of this simple ham sandwich situation. As you can see here, I pop it out of the container. That paper towel is soaked, so, you know, again, I know what I'm doing here. And some salad dressing just elevates this sandwich into this sort of like sub situation without all the effort. I also crack open a Coke Zero for a little more caffeine or energy, grab some chips, and boom, I have my little school lunch that, again, is just so easy to throw together. But before we continue here, I want to quickly shout out Torres for sponsoring this video and for making what might be the coolest case I've ever used with my personal iPhone. This is the Q3 Air in Glacial Sprint, and yeah, it totally looks like one of those translucent blue iMacs from the early 2000s. The designer actually pulled inspiration from both that and Nike sneaker tech, giving it this clean, retro-futuristic vibe that really fits iOS 26 aesthetic. But it's not just a vibe. Torres is the #1 MagSafe stand case brand on Amazon, and this is their newest flagship case. The MagSafe here is seriously strong, rated up to 3,000 grams of force, so I can slap it on a tripod adapter or a metal wall and it just sticks, no problem. And it's built tough too, with a 100% dynamic cushioning structure that's lightweight, but still ready to take a drop. The subtle grip texture keeps it locked in your hand, super helpful when I'm filming with my phone, and the swappable buttons let you customize the look a bit. Around the back, the 360 ring stand clicks smoothly into place and adjusts to pretty much any angle. I use it all the time to prop up my phone, especially while doom scrolling and eating. So if you want a case that doesn't just protect your phone but actually makes it more fun to use, check this one out. I'll leave links below. But anyway, I have to get my second primary TikTok scrolling of the day. I mean, what can I say? I adore my iPad kid scrolling and eating time. It really rejuvenates me at this point in the day here. Anyway, now I want to look at my iMessage and go through some messages from unknown senders. Thankfully, they're separated so they don't clog up your main page with known context. You can switch back and it's really nice and neat. Meanwhile, group chats have gotten some nice aesthetic and functional updates like this background that I have here. It's some kind of Aurora type theme and plenty of liquid glass elements and menu animations here too, which I love. You can also now create polls in group chats as well, which is really helpful in this case when I'm asking Tom and Isaac, you may know them as Byte Review and Commute, what I should title this exact video here. So I'm voting for the real day in the life verbiage, and would you look at that, Isaac voted for it too. And with that out of the way, now I want to wrap up the rest of my business backend work at this desk. Again, emails, writing, planning, scripting, all that boring stuff, so I can go for a little walk before the sun goes down. And soon enough, I'm back on the streets of downtown Ann Arbor. I must say, I love a walkable city. I grew up in a suburb, and even though I like living in a suburban area in Ann Arbor, the fact that I have a little pad down here is great for just, you know, again, working, going for a walk, and grabbing a bite or going on an errand, and just taking some pictures with the new camera app or redesigned camera app with iOS 26 here. As you can see, liquid glass is part of the interface now, and it just makes the experience a little more immersive, a little more refined and skeuomorphic too. It brings some more physical, tangible elements back like we had with earlier versions of the camera app before iOS 7. But thankfully with iOS 7's minimalism brought by Johnny Ive, it looks great. Anyway, I'm continuing my walk here. It's just so nice to be outside, get some fresh air, you know, take a little break from work. It certainly beats sitting on the couch or laying in bed between work that I used to do at home purely, and street photography is just fun. And here I am viewing it in the new Photos app, which has a much more simplified user interface with the liquid glass elements, which are delicious as you can see there here. And yeah, I'm just happy that they made the experience less confusing. A lot of people were complaining about the iOS 18 app. However, iOS 26 has another camera trick up its sleeve. You can use your AirPods stem to trigger the camera capture, which is particularly helpful when you're taking selfies by yourself, which I do a lot of because I am a content creator. But anyway, it's about time to head back here. I want to snag a few more photos and just enjoy the fresh air in general, but also snag a video at this really lovely corner in this downtown area here. It also gives me the opportunity to show off the new camera like toggle with liquid glass, and also just the video menu menu where you can change frame rate here. And I'm not going to show like a sample because I'm sure you've seen it, but this is what it's like shooting a video. It's just a nicer experience. And we're back in the office. The sun is coming down, so I got to turn on the ceiling lights here, which actually are quite nice. I was a little worried about these when I first moved in, but no, they do the trick. More importantly though, this is the external drive that I edit off of. I love working externally because it's just more affordable and redundant, and also more flexible because I can use it here in the office with my M4 Max Mac Studio setup here, which is the best, and it entices me to come in, but I can also work at home on a Mac Mini or MacBook Pro pretty seamlessly too. I'm literally doing a voiceover at home with this drive plugged into a Mac Mini. Anyway, I love the Pro Display. I use this setup for Final Cut, Lightroom, and Photoshop type work. And during this, ideally, I like to keep my phone on a charger across the room, so I'm not like picking it up while I'm getting frustrated editing. Today I'm working on a product showcase that you probably already saw actually, but it's a sick projector setup in my apartment. You should definitely check that video out. But since we're in the present moment, I'm working on this, and again, trying to stay off of my phone and locked in and focused. As much as I love editing, it is a frustrating and focus intensive task. And if you have ADHD, it's really hard to lock in sometimes. And if you're curious why I'm not using my fancy schmancy chair, I broke the headrest and I gotta get that replaced. So I'm on this little stool for now. And after roughly 20 minutes of focused work, I'm already having phone withdrawals. I own it, honestly. If I didn't have TikTok or my phone and sugar-free gum, I would be an addict of some sort. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Anyway, TikTok is not really hitting right now. I feel like playing a game instead. And thankfully, Apple now has its own standalone games app where you can recall some games that you haven't played in years, like Doodle Jump, which will forever be a classic. Honestly, I don't feel like iOS games have gotten better since 2012. And after working a bit more, it's time to go home. I back up another drive that I have here in the office, put the main drive back into my bag along with my laptop, and turn everything off, including my Pro Display and my AC in here that I have hooked up to HomeKit outlets. And now that I got everything, it is time to turn the lights off and leave my office for the night here. Good night, office. And now it's time to take a little night stroll back to the parking structure. Unfortunately, the students came back since it's the fall now, although the university pays taxes and funds the situation in this city, so I am grateful, but still missing how quiet and peaceful it is from like April till late August. And now it's time to make the drive back to my apartment, although I have a quick errand I want to run first. I also gotta pay for parking, which is no more than like $15, often like $8 or $9 per day I park here. It seems a little expensive, but I factored into the overall cost of the office, rent, internet, all that. And here we are with CarPlay. I just got a text, which I can now reply to with a tap back if the person has an iPhone or an Apple product, which is so convenient and so much safer than pulling out your phone and doing that. And also more legal, I guess, because, you know, who would pull out their phone while driving? Not me. Anyway, I'm stopping at Meijer before I head home because I gotta pick up some frozen food that I absolutely cannot live without. I'm annoyed that my local Costco no longer carries this and for cheaper, but it's so good that I make the trip out here literally just for this item. I think Walmart sells it too. I might start going there, but all of this to say I cannot live without deep kitchen Indian food, specifically butter chicken and tikka masala, and I think another one that I'm forgetting the name of, but it's so good. This is the type of greed they talk about in the Bible. I ransack the entire place because sometimes it's already ransacked, so it's a bit of a free-for-all, but I literally eat this multiple times a week. It saves me so much time and effort cooking, and it's a really high quality meal. And the line's a little long, so it's a good time to catch up on my Instagram feed here while I'm waiting. Again, such an incredible value here for how many meals you can make out of this food, and you'll see it in a minute because I want to show you what it looks like. And that wraps up this little errand. Again, I think I'm going to start going to Walmart because it's a bit cheaper per unit, but Meijer's pretty sick. It's a Midwest classic. Also, feel free to judge me. I cannot be the only one. I love using ChatGPT voice mode in the car. Peep this iOS 26 CarPlay widget I can toggle. And yeah, again, feel free to judge me. I use ChatGPT voice mode all the time to just look stuff up without being on my phone. So it's sort of like a verbal interface to a degree. It's also great to chat with about strategy, news, life, whatever you want. It remembers stuff. And I don't treat it like a person, so don't worry. It's also lobotomized after 4.0, so 5 is a lot less validating. But yeah, it's an incredible tool, and I love talking to it during car rides sometimes just to, pass the time and also just go through some thoughts and strategize and think about things. And here are my children. They have been waiting for me. They're starving and they have not eaten for 40 days and 40 nights. And of course, they have to get into the plastic bags that I brought in from Meijer.
Let's not say we did, okay? Thank you.
Anyway, most of the Indian goes into my chest freezer, and now it's time to start getting my nightly routine going on here by first putting my business bag and my tote bag back in my bedroom. I also want to turn on more lights with a HomeKit scene that I have. And more importantly, it's time for us all to have a bit of a late dinner here. They didn't get their wet food as early as they would like, so I feel kind of bad, but this has to happen sometimes if I work at the office a little late. Luckily, those dry feeders I showed off earlier are remote, so I can surveil them and feed them while I'm away. A real life hack if you're a cat owner and you're often just off and away, either on vacation or at your job. Okay, now that they're eating, it's time for me to eat some dinner, and you guessed it, it's gonna be some deep Indian butter chicken. I absolutely love this. This is my favorite flavor of theirs, although all of them are great. And since it's microwavable, it's super easy to cook and then just put into a bowl, which is what I'm gonna do here. It doesn't even taste frozen either, which is so wild. Normally chicken that's frozen tastes weird and like cardboard, but this, it just tastes like it's restaurant quality. It's wild. And I've had a lot of restaurant tikka masala and butter chicken, of course with garlic naan because I'm white. And speaking of being white, I love me some Temptations Jello lemon meringue. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's sort of an obsession of mine. It's another item I ransack off the shelves at a different grocery store, Kroger. I also grab these frozen vegetables I'm about to cook here from Kroger as well. They come in these cute little bags and I put them in this cute little plastic steamer thing. And yeah, I've been told it might put microplastics in my body, but at this point, my generation is dying from microplastic overdose, so it just doesn't matter. It's super convenient to cook vegetables in there. It drains the water nicely and all that. Again, as you can see here, I'm all about quick, convenient quality when it comes to my meals. I'm also playing a little music on Spotify here. Love these liquid glass notifications and UI elements and such. Here I am taking the vegetables out of the microwave. As you can see, they're really simple to just pour out and the water just drains into the little bucket and I can rinse it and it dries. It's just so beautifully convenient. I don't have to take out a pot or a strainer or some stupid thing like that. And then I just dump the Indian food into a bowl as well so I don't feel like I'm eating a TV dinner because it doesn't taste like one. Anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. Here's my dinner: applesauce, broccoli, Indian food. What a time. So delicious, so simple, right? Gordon Ramsay, what are you doing here? Of course I gotta get some more TikTok in. What would a meal be without some scrolling? And this is how good this food is. Look at it, it's excellent! Also, big shout out to TikTok for allowing photos and comments. They're so funny, like every single time. I also want to quickly comment on battery life. It's been okay. I definitely charge my phone once or twice a day, but I use my phone a lot and I think my battery's a little degraded because I fast charge it too much. But anyway, the beta's been okay. I think the official version's gonna be better. This lemon meringue stuff is so good too. You should try it. And that wraps up my quick and easy but healthy and delicious dinner here, like I said. Also, here's this remote control dry feeder that I have. It's such a great value if you're a cat owner. Love it. Again, I can just keep an eye on my cats and make sure they're eating while I'm away. But now it's time for me to get ready for bed here, back into the bedroom. And my cats, of course, want to follow me in the second I want some personal space. And this is about the time I make some phone calls to close friends and family, you know, late at night when we're all kind of getting ready for bed. Today I'm calling my dad just to check in on him and see what he's thinking about. And of course, tell him what I'm thinking about. I usually have a lot more to say. I'm talkative like my mom. He's a man of very few words, but nonetheless, he's one of the most important people in my life and just kind of keeps me on the right track. He's one of the best clinical psychologists in the state of Michigan. I think a lot of people can attest to that. But again, love the new phone layout. It just functionally makes a lot more sense. And speaking of functioning, I got to do a little bit of task management for the next day with Notion here on my iPhone and iMac, so the next day doesn't go completely awry. Then it's time to lock down my apartment and say goodnight to Oscar and Lucy and turn off all the lights with the Home app via Siri, which is always so convenient. And now we're on to the final stretch. I go back into my bedroom and just shut the door for the night. As you can see, my life is very repetitive, very rehearsed, routine, structured, whatever, and it's good for me as somebody that struggles with ADHD and executive dysfunction. I also set my alarms in a particular way, love the new interface here, so I have a staggered alarm situation so I actually can ease out of bed instead of just jolting awake, which kind of ruins my day, to be honest. I've done that before and it's just not fun. I then turn on sleep mode and turn my bedroom lights off with Siri again, and that's about it. Thanks for watching a very real day in my life with iOS 26. Enjoy the update. Let me know what you think about it down below.